Hi everyone. Thank you, Sarah, to give me the opportunity to give the fireside with you. It was a great opportunity. So some of you may know that my real name is Satoshi, and Satoshi is famous for Pokemon and Bitcoin. But in Japanese, each name has different Chinese character, and my name has this Chinese character and having the meaning of country history. By the way, Kentaro means healthy boy. So I'd like to start from brief explanation of my country's history. My country was founded 2,600 years ago by a man called Jimmu. He is the first emperor of Japan, and the current and new emperor Norihito is his 124th descendant. 125 generations without changing the family tree means that the current emperor has 2 powered by 124 ancestors, which is huge number. And we have been living in a small country and having only 120 million population, so the blood is mixed up. And we see us as a whole big family, and the royal family is a symbol of Japanese, our country. And in terms of the religion, emperor is the top of Shinto, and the Shinto is a religion that we see God in anything, especially in nature, such as mountains, rocks, trees, waterfalls, animals, and food. Very friendly religion. And however, since the foundation about 1,000 years, we didn't have any law and culture. So we decided to import Buddhism as a law and culture from Korea and China. So our culture is pretty influenced by India, and Korea and China. And we spent time ruled by aristocrats for a long time and moved to the era ruled by soldier, which we call samurai. During the Edo era, from 1600, we closed the country from outside and enjoy domestic prosperity about 250 years. However, the situation has changed in mid-19th century. American came to our country to force us to open the country. Open the country. Yes, of course. We didn't have any industrialized equipment such as steam engine or modernized weapon. So we opened the door in 1868. At that time, we realized that if we could not industrialize our society, we would lose the independence. From late 19th century to early 20th century, we modernized our society very rapidly. And unfortunately, we had several wars with neighbor countries such as China and Russia before World War II. And in 1934, my father was born in a city called Kokura, which was famous for military port. And in 1941, we started the war against United States and the United Kingdom by attacking the Pearl Harbor. And in summer 1945, the 2 nuclear bombs was dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and we lost the war. And on that day, bomb was dropped in Nagasaki. The plan A was actually Kokura, where my father lived at that time. However, on that day, Kokura was cloudy, so they could not drop it to Kokura. So B-29 went to Nagasaki to execute plan B. If on that day Kokura was clear sky, I would not stand here today. In 1945, the year we lost the war, my mother was born in the same region as my father, but they met each other 26 years later in 1972 in Tokyo, Ginza. 70 was the great time for Japanese economy, and the city Ginza was a symbol of our development. My father was running a company to manufacture the parts for Subaru and Nissan, and he became successful as Japanese car industry grew. My mother was working at the bar in Ginza, it's a nightclub, and met my mother and fell in love. And in June 1974, I was born between them. It's a beautiful story, right? But my mother was not 100% happy at the time because my father already had a family and 3 children. So my mother decided to raise me without getting married with him. The fact was not officially informed of me until my father passed away when I was 21. But of course, I noticed this fact when I was in first or second grade. So I think I need to be the best child among unknown half-brother sisters. I was raised in the center of Tokyo until my father decided to move to a factory in Gunma, which is 100 miles away from Tokyo. So rural and countryside, this rural. It's very different from the life in Tokyo. And since the day one, I always thought how I can get out of this shitty place. But I spent there for 12 years. After we moved to Gunma, I think my mother felt insecure and wanted to become economically independent. So she started her own company to sell cosmetics, visiting houses, knocking on the door. My childhood memory is to see my mother's entrepreneurial life and help her, handing out flyers, delivering cosmetics instead of her, and asking my elementary school teachers to use my mother's cosmetics. One day, I was sleeping in my room, surrounded by the boxes of her inventories, and a small earthquake was happened, and some of the box fell onto me. And at the time, I swear myself, I will not do business with inventory. And I'm doing no inventory business now. And other than helping my mother, I played tennis, baseball, and belonged to track and field club. However, in Japan, the competition of the entrance exam is so hard. So I quit the club activity and spent most of my time to prepare for entrance exam when I was a high school student. Even with the effort, I failed the exam in the first year. So I needed to spend my gap year to prepare for the entrance exam. At the time, I felt unsecured. But fortunately, next year, I got entered my dream university, Keio, which is same as Kentaro. And I was so happy. And also, I still remember that my father was crying after I told him on the phone. And he was very happy with my result. And that was the only thing I could do before he passed away. And I was so happy to come back to Tokyo, and I became a city boy again. Not the city boy, shitty boy. But I got a deep cultural shock with the fact that there are a lot of Japanese returnees who got educated abroad and returned to Japan for universities. Those people communicate in English, even in front of people who didn't speak English. By then, I studied English for 6 years, but I found the English I got from Japanese education was useless. And I couldn't even understand what they're talking. Yes. And I started feeling something like complex towards those returnees, and I always wish I had foreign experience before entering university. This is my root cause to start my English teaching business. And to this those complex. I traveled around the world since then. The very first country was this. I participated in a program between my school and Stanford. I stayed there for a few months and fascinated with the liberal culture. The first email address I got was there, and the first pot I smoked was there too. I fascinated with the liberal culture. For example, on the first day I arrived there, I asked my counselor, what time should I go back to the dorm? And he said, you can come back anytime you want, as long as you can take responsibilities. And it was totally different from the one that Japanese culture tried to put people in a role. So it was a life-changing event for me. After the graduation, I wanted to become the international business person, so I joined Merrill Lynch. Yes! So for the investment banking industry, the end of the last century was golden era. I enjoyed working with brilliant people around the world. And I worked there for 4 years, but I couldn't find myself to fit in the industry. So I always worried about getting fired. So I tried to switch my career by going for MBA. However, studying English day after day, my TOEFL score won't go up. On the other hand, my friends who got educated abroad went to top US schools without putting so much effort for English. I thought it was unfair. Although English education was poor in Japan, only the people who can speak English can get better opportunity for both business and academicism. So someone has to fix it, and I wanted to be the one. I gave up my dream to study abroad, but at least the next generation can study English in proper way and pursue their dreams. So I founded my company Karo in 2002 with the hope to change the Japanese education. My career as an entrepreneur started since then. The first 3 years were so miserable. My co-founder didn't work as much as I expected. The money was burning rapidly. Days in, days out, I was trying to make better flyers to attract prospective clients until midnight, and I woke up early in the morning to sneak into luxury apartments with newspaper boys. One day, I sneaked into the luxury big apartment to post our brochures, but unluckily, I was founded by a god. And I was asked what company I was working for. And I couldn't say I'm the president of the company. So I told a lie that I was just a part-timer for posting those flyers. And I was released and went back to my office, and the phone rang, and the voice was from the god. And I changed my voice and apologized. I'm sorry, this is the advertisement company. Yeah, so about 2 years passed. 2 of 5 co-founders already left the company, and I was at the brink of losing everything. At that time, I made a concept called direct response marketing. I studied it, and I changed homepage and flyers and built referral system. I did everything I could think of. By doing this, the number of students increased, and our company became cash flow positive in 3 years. It was a dark and long 3 years. And around that time, one of my friends came to me and said she wanted to open a nail salon with me. Oh my God, I didn't expect that. But at the time, I wanted to challenge my marketing knowledge outside of the English school, so I said yes. It was 2005, before the nail business got huge popularity in Japan. As it got popular, our business got bigger. At the peak time, we had 11 nail salons with more than 100 professional nail artists, and 1 nail school, and 1 nail human resource company. When the market was growing, it was good business. However, when the peak hit, and becoming downtrend, it became the worst business model. It was so easy for new entrant to open new nail salon with lower fixed cost. As we are running a nail school, when the student graduate our school, they became our competitor right away. So it didn't take long that the cash flow became worse and worse. But still, we could barely survive with the cash flow of everyday business. And the day came in 2011, March 11th, the huge earthquake hit the northeastern Japan. It was 2:46 in the afternoon. I was in the subway waiting for the train. An old big lady ran into the train and the train started shaking. So I thought it was because of the woman. But shaking was too big for a single human nature. And it turned out the huge earthquake that we had never experienced. With that earthquake, about 20,000 people died and 2,000 are still missing. From the next day, the tragedy began. Many of my employees didn't want to come to work to risk their lives, and so was our clients. The whole country became PTSD. For the cash flow business like nail salons, if we don't have nail artists there, only fixed costs would occur. From that day, we become deep cash flow negative and need to postpone the payments. Out of everything I need to pay, I had to think which one I should pay first. It's like triage for bankruptcy. So out of everything, tax, wait a second, and tax, okay, tax, rent, nail products for service, and employee. So Michael, which one should I pay first and last? Tax, rent, employee first, and?
Tax last.
Tax last, yes, that's correct. So the order is employee and the nail product, rent and tax are the last. So I went to tax office and run the order every month to reschedule the payment. About 6 months later, I need to make a big decision whether I continue the nail business or not. Yes, I sold my loving salons, school, and friends for almost nothing. It was the saddest decision I've ever made, and I spent the most miserable 6 months in my life. After I sold the business, I decided two things. One is to concentrate on the English teaching business. The other one is to make my company an edutech company. However, it was really difficult to hire web engineers for the non-internet related company like us. So I gave up the idea to hire engineers from the market, but I set up a coding school to educate people to become engineers, like Richard did. So I established another company to run a coding school, which is called Harajuku Web Laboratory. We raised about 300 engineers, and 3 years later, we closed this company successfully. 3 of alumnus are now working for my company, including current CEO. And now, my company, Carol, is leading English education in Japan with the technology and the method we developed. 50 full-time employees and 200 teachers are working for 1,500 students. And today, January 25th, is the 18th birthday of Carol. So the reason why I could continue is because I have the mission. I always wanted to deliver a competitive English education to a boy living in Gunma, thinking about study abroad. Yes, my company's persona is me, myself. Lastly, I'd like to talk why I'm here. I got influenced by the picture that my father showed me when I was third grade. He went to Detroit for business trip, and on the way back, he came to Boston to visit MIT. He showed me the picture in front of the dome, of him in front of the dome, and he said, 21st century is going to be the age of science. You can be a scientist to study math and science by attending MIT. And of course, I didn't listen to him, and I focused on studying language and history, so I couldn't become a scientist. And my father passed away when I was 21, and after 30 years from the conversation, I visited here for the first time, and when I stood in front of the dome, the image of my father came to me. And I decided myself that I will study here. The vision my father gave me worked. So there are many fathers and mothers in this class. And I believe the vision you gave, that your children, through bringing them to this campus, will work for the long run. So let's make the vision bigger and influence the next generation. Thank you.